"I am tougher on Russia than on any other country." This is how U.S. President Donald Trump describes his approach to the Kremlin. Yesterday, he held talks with Russian criminal Vladimir Putin. He warned the dictator of possible sanctions in the face of his unwillingness to end the war in Ukraine. In recent days, Moscow has carried out the largest Russian missile attacks on Kyiv since the beginning of the war. Over 5,000 drones, rockets, and cruise missiles, all aimed at one target, the capital of Ukraine. All available air defense measures were used to repel the attack. Despite this, it was not possible to stop it effectively. I woke up to the sound of explosions. First, the Shahid drone started buzzing, and then the explosions began. Then people started screaming outside. The drone explosions continued. Ukrainians are responding to the threats posed by Russia. Today, they attacked an airport in the Voronezh region. They are sending their own interceptor drones to counter the drones. It was a difficult start to the day, with over 500 Russian attack drones and missiles. A significant number were shot down. Unfortunately, some hit their targets. Interceptor drones proved to be very effective today. Dozens of Shahids were shot down by interceptors. Ukraine has signed an agreement with American arms companies to produce thousands of drones, including interceptors. However, the availability of missiles for Patriot systems may be a problem, as according to the Americans, they are beginning to run out, and they are needed not only in Ukraine, but also in the Middle East, Taiwan, Korea, and Europe itself. Hence, the Pentagon was to inform the Ukrainians that it was temporarily suspending deliveries of these missiles. We have reserves until the fall. The military always accumulates reserves first, and then gradually uses them. Therefore, today it is impossible to completely abandon the American missile defense system, especially Patriot Pact-3 and other Patriots, or American intelligence. The issue of military cooperation was the subject of the conversation between Volodymyr Zelensky and Donald Trump. According to Kyiv, the issue of suspending military support is not a foregone conclusion. It was an important conversation. We agreed to organize a meeting of our teams to strengthen our air defense capabilities. We had an in-depth discussion about joint production, something that both we and the United States need. Washington, D.C. is clearly changing its approach to the war in Ukraine. Putin made it clear to Donald Trump that he does not intend to give up any of his war aims. Hence, the U.S. president made it clear that the Kremlin will have to face the consequences.
Talk about sanctions a lot, yeah. I would say he's not thrilled with it, but, he's been able to handle sanctions, but these are pretty biting sanctions. Now, we talk about sanctions a lot, and he understands that it may be coming.
The United States has opened all doors, both in diplomacy and forceful solutions. The Kremlin has chosen the path of confrontation. The draft sanctions, which also include the release of frozen Russian assets in the West as part of support for Ukraine, are already ready. There will be no problem with its approval in the U.S. Congress. And even the biggest supporters of diplomacy in the White House today clearly see that the Kremlin only understands arguments of force.